What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Philly Talk with PA Man. We're back today. So a little preview. Eagles Vikings. Um, you know, we'll get into some of AJ Brown, favorable matchups this week. Um, yeah, we'll talk. Jalen Hurts. Um, we'll talk about what someone, former Eagles legend, had to say about Jalen Hurts. Um, and let's just get into it, man. I want to start it off saying last couple weeks, the media and losing, Hurts not having his best game, and AJ doing, all he's been doing. I'm here to tell you this week against Minnesota, this is one of those this is one of those games like Jalen Hurts comes out, puts the haters to bed. Now, I don't know if we're gonna, finally run the football. Now, I was told Thursday night or Friday after the Giants game, Sirianni goes out and he's like, no, like we're not gonna be making any changes to the offense. Patulo's still gonna be there, whatever. But then Tuesday, this man comes out, kind of almost does a whole 180. He's like, actually, yeah, we did a lot of work on the offense over the weekend, and we're gonna see where that takes us. Got some exciting third down plays for third down situations that we're excited to show you guys on Sunday against Minnesota. Now, even when the Eagles in 2023, when they still had the number 8 overall offense, but even when the defense wasn't that good, it was god awful. We just didn't know it yet because we played the Vikings, I think, week 2 of that season. Jalen Hurts has always cooked the Minnesota Vikings defense. Now, I'm just looking. Just gonna let me. I want to make sure I'm, you know, yeah, I got my stats right, got my notes right. So I know it was 28-34. Eagles won. Hurts went off. Um, that was a big game. 2022. 24/7 Vikings coming in hot to Philly, doing all that talk. Jalen Hurts does a number on him, and these are all Brian Flores led defenses. Every single time Jalen Hurts has played this Minnesota Vikings defense, it's pretty much the same team. Jalen Hurts has gone off, and I'm expecting the same of that because, with all due respect to Isaiah Rodgers, who we should have kept, all due respect to Byron Murphy, he can play. They got a safety playing nickelback. If Brian Flores brings the heat, whether it's disguise blitz, cover zone blitz, and he leaves those guys one on one against AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, it's over. It's done. That's a touchdown. Hurts isn't gonna overthrow Devontae again. AJ's not gonna stop in the middle of a route. If Brian Flores brings the heat, Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback, arguably the best quarterback against the blitz. If Brian Flores, because we know Brian Flores likes to bring the heat, if Brian Flores brings the heat, it's going to be hell to pay for Minnesota. Now, we knows obviously mentioned this that this is a big, bounce back opportunity for the Eagles, but I want to talk about a couple of things like lean up to this game. For one, AJ Brown. I'm really getting sick and tired of people just putting words in players' mouths and saying AJ wants to go to New England, he wants to go to Seattle, he wants to go to Pittsburgh, like wherever. Like it's just you know, and it gets pretty annoying. It gets really old. Like I saw a clip of this man today, like coursing around with Cooper DeJean during drills. laughing, smiling, joking with the coaches. His receiver coach, that apparently, according to the media, he hates his receiver coach. Yet people will look at that and still try to take something negative from that. Um, that's something that only really happens with Philly athletes. Um, I don't really know why. I mean we do know why. Why it doesn't happen with other players, or why the noise isn't as loud with other players who actually want to leave. Like, nobody's talking about Jacoby Myers, who's had one foot out the door since preseason in Las Vegas. Like, no, nobody wants to talk about him. But AJ Brown, does what every wide receiver does, and all of a sudden it's like he wants to leave, and all of a sudden he hates his, you know, technical like family member and Jalen Hurts. Like I just I can't do stuff like that. Pretty much you're like lying on people's names. I don't do that. I don't rock with that. AJ, he's gonna have a day, especially Brian Flores' defense. Um, really good offenses, they tend to fold. We saw it in the playoffs last year against the Rams. Um, Divisional games are, even though they got the Packers, the Lions now, the Bears now, like it's still a divisional game, so I give them credit for that. But most really good offenses they go against, they fold in big moments. Even though Josh Patelis, Michigan man, he's certified, but Minnesota defense as a whole, I'm not. Maybe because also it is the regular season, so I would expect them to be a little more, not as much pressure. Backsides aren't as tight, but I really think that this is a big opportunity. Also, running the ball, like Minnesota, they're not great. They're not terrible, but they're not great at like stopping the run. So, hopefully we run it more than 2 times on the first drive, and Saquon, whoever comes in for him, I don't know if that's Tank Bigsby. Please get Tank Bigsby off kick returns, but that's another subject we might touch on. But whoever comes in relieves Saquon when, hopefully Saquon's he's cooking. Um, I can't really think. I don't know because I don't think he had week one. Last time Saquon had over 15 carries in a game. Now I know they're trying to like lower his workload, but like obviously 6 carries against Denver, two in a second half. That's unacceptable. Um, Performance last week against the Giants, that's not acceptable. On all levels of the team. Um, but I'm looking at this Eagles team, and offensive line, they are back. They're pretty good in pass blocking rate. Like we've seen it so many times when Hurts is standing there for 5, 6 seconds. No one is open down the field because the route combinations are very elementary, not complex at all, not even close in the realm of Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or Mike McDaniel, like any of these guys, these offensive group, Kevin O'Connell. Um, but the the run blocking has not been there this year. And for people who say like, oh, Saquon needs like a perfect O line to get like 2,000 yards and to be successful, I will once again remind people that Emmitt Smith played behind arguably the greatest offensive line of all time. I will remind people that Todd Gurley played behind one of the best left tackles of all time. Like like you look at the most successful running back. Like Ravens fans want to hate on Derrick Henry, on the Ravens offensive line. Excuse me. Like someone opened those holes for Derrick Henry. Like it is just like a reoccurring. Like you have to have greatness around you in order to win. Like we see it in all facets of sports, but for some reason, people, when it comes to the Eagles, people just want to find ways to hate. People want to find things to imaginary things at times to try and poke at, but O line, the running game has to be better. Obviously Jeff Stoutland University. Um, trusting him to get those guys right. Landon Dickerson, please come back. Like when you're actually 100%. Like we don't need you continuing to try to play at like 65%, and you're not playing well. And then people are like, "Oh, he's not playing well," but then you're injured. You shouldn't be playing. But hopefully he comes back when he's ready. Tyler Steen, like he's all right as a starter, not great. He's no like Brandon Brooks or Makai Becton, but he can do better. I feel like there's more that Salin can get out of him. Um, Lane Johnson, he's getting up there. He's starting. This is the first year we see Lane Johnson show signs of getting up there in age. Um, I mean, guys in the league for I think 13 seasons, and hasn't shown any signs of slippage up to this point. So Lane Johnson, on like one of his worst days, is still better than 95% of offensive tackles, but still he hasn't played his best games so far this season. So hopefully he can. Also, he's been dinged as well, so hopefully he can get right. Before this Minnesota game as well. Um, but that's it offensively. I'm trust Hurts to have a game, especially against that Minnesota Vikings pass defense, especially man coverage. I'm expecting them. Hopefully, Patul and Sirianni actually have something going. Um, D line. Now we've seen with the absence of Nolan Smith and when Jalen Carter was hobbled and when Jalen Carter wasn't in the game, this Eagles pass rush is virtually almost non-existent. I think it's fair to say. Josh Uche, I need you to stop grittying when you get off the line and actually rush the passer. Getting pretty much not really any pressure at all against the Giants offensive line, that's not good enough. Now, albeit when you line up Andrew Thomas, he's a pretty good bro, it's too cold. It's too cold to be out here. Um Andrew Thomas, he's a slightly above average tackle, but still like even when you line up on the other side, like getting nothing, like that's not good enough. Um Obviously Zadarius Smith, he's no longer on the team. Um Retired, no. Shout out Zadarius Smith, but for the Darius Smith to come in week 2, retire after week 6, and he led the team in sacks. That's an issue. That I think needs to be seriously addressed. Now, I keep hearing Trey Hendrickson. I do not want Trey Hendrickson. That's too much money for an older guy that doesn't have that upside anymore, that younger upside anymore. I do not want Trey Hendrickson. If you want to go maybe a Jalen Phillips or Jermaine Johnson, now we're talking. Those are guys that for the most part stay healthy. Now I know Jalen Phillips had those like ACLs, but he was mostly healthy before those. Also, like you're in Miami, like that whole organization is just not serious. Hopefully, I mean, I was hoping last week Chargers got blown that the Chargers would blow out Miami. Miami fires Mike McDaniel. By Tuesday, Howie has Mike McDaniel on the plane to Philly for that offensive coordinator position. But obviously, that's a dream scenario. A man can dream. But D line has to be better. Um, When Nolan Smith gets back, I think Green Bay. I think that's when we'll. And Carter is back this week, according to Jalen Carter. He'll be back this week. So that's always a good sign. You have arguably the best defensive tackle in football up there, taking on double teams. And now this week, Minnesota tackles aren't that great. Can Uche, can Ojulari, can Patrick Johnson. Shout out Patrick Johnson. He played solid game against the Giants. Can they get home 1-on-1 matchups? Because Jalen Carter's got two, Jordan Davis has one. That's 1-on-1 on the outside. Can you get home? Can you get pressure? Jordan Mason is not that good at picking up the blitz. He's not that good. Can you get home on guys that aren't really known for being mobile quarterbacks? Can you get home on McCarthy or walk it to him, bounce it to him, limp it to him once? Can you get pressure on those guys? That's going to be the question. That's going to be potentially sort of the game. But yeah, also want to talk about the Kobe Dean coming back and how we're going to probably start seeing more Jihaad Campbell on the edge. Now, in college, I saw Jihaad Campbell on the edge against Ole Miss, crush the pocket. Jackson Dart breaks contain. Jihaad Campbell sprints back up the field, hops him, helmet off, flying. Jihaad Campbell's a dog off the edge. He did it against SEC talent. He did it against guys like Will Campbell. Isaiah Proctor every day in practice. Like I'm very certain, and I know Vic Fangio is also very certain that he can do it at the NFL level. If you're doing it against those guys in the SEC of all conferences, obviously. Obviously he'll not like the whole time, but like certain situations, you'll see him come in, get pressure. I think this is a really good opportunity for him because Nakobe's definitely going to be playing like much more this game than last week, since it was the first game back. But now you have Nakobe, Zach Bond, you have Jihaad coming in for Nakobe and Zach when guys are gassed, guys need a breather. And now on third downs, you can put Jihaad on the edge, Nolan Smith on another, Nakobe, Zach in the middle, Carter, Davis, Ojomo on their knees in that 3-4. Now that because you got four linebackers, you got strong side, weak side, middle inside. Not to get too technical, but the Eagles have the best linebacker core in the NFL. I think once the Kobe Dean he starts getting more acclimated to the game, the speed of the game, it's gonna show as the weeks go on. But shout out Jihaad Campbell, he held it down. He's gonna continue to hold it down, as well as shout out Jeremiah Trotter, obviously Patrick Johnson, for what they've been able to do. But it's time to get to the weakness right now of this team. Corner two. Now we're going up against a guy on Sunday in Isaiah Rodgers. Could have easily been. It's looking like now tips is coming out. He could have easily been on this team. Not that big of a contract. Not that big of a deal needed. He didn't. He's having a year in Minnesota. How he's got to live with that. He made the wrong choice. Now I post about this earlier today. Vic Fangio's been talking about Mac McWilliams. Now here's a guy. He was a solid player at UAB. Transfers to UCF. Solid season there. Drafted by Philly, obviously. And yeah, he's been the backup to Adoree and Keely Ringo. And you see how those two have looked. Now, it's looking like Quinyon's going to be able to play. So I saw him in the weight room today. He was at practice. I don't know if it was full or limited participant, but the way they're making it sound like he's going to be ready to go. on Sunday. So when Yon plays, you're gonna have him, you have Cooper DeJean locking down the slot. Then on the outside, because that's the thing, Jordan Addison does not really do the slot a ton. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, he'll go in there, but not really. That's not like he's not a Puka Nakua, Emeka Ibuka, Cooper Cup. Like he's not one of those. He's not like a slot guy, like a CD Lamb, slot merchant CD, like Amon Ra. He's not one of those guys. Um, so we'll have Quinion, Jettas, Coop, probably. I think Jalen Naylor. That third spot, who's going to guard Jordan Addison? Now it seems Dory Jackson right now is a starter. After Keely Ringo, we saw what he did or didn't do against Lil Jordan Humphrey. We saw that. We witnessed. We saw what we had to see. If either of those guys get benched at any point in the game, which I think is going to happen, Mac McWilliams will most likely be taking snaps at some point in the game on Sunday. And look, I'm Vic Fangio. He's got confidence in him. Young player, hasn't really had that much experience yet. So, hey, I'm low key. I want to see because at this point, I gotta see something on the other side of Quinion Mitchell. It's getting rough when you're getting cooked by Lil Jordan Humphrey, Wandale Robinson, and others, practice squad players. Like it gets to a point. Now, obviously, people have been talking about Tariq Woolen, potentially Denzel Ward. I don't really know because Denzel Ward that contract. I don't know if the Eagles can take that on, but something's got to happen to that second corner spot. But we got Makuba, you got Blankenship holding it down at the safety spot. So in Makuba, that's Texas, that's SEC. He knows a thing or two about SEC. Obviously, not as much as Justin Jefferson, but I feel like he's going to be able to hold his own. Bring that when he brings that safety up over the top. But overall, I think it's shaping up. Eagles got the better quarterback, better running back. O lines, honestly, right now are pretty even. Like based on play, I know Eagles pass blocking is much better, but overall, O lines are. It's not that much of a difference right now. Wide receiver, I'll go even. Tight ends, Eagles, D line. Right now, Minnesota, because they're getting home, they're getting pressure. Guys like Greenard, Van Ginkel, they're getting home. Also, Eagles are dealing with those injuries. So Vikings D line, linebackers, Eagles, secondary, corners, Vikings, safeties. It's tough because you got Harrison Smith, Patelis, you got Blankenship, Makuba. I'm pretty split on that one. Y'all can let me know what y'all think. Obviously, special teams. Got Jake Elliott. Got the man of the hour, Braden Mann. But and I'm thinking it's gonna be closer, but Eagles Birds they're gonna pull away. I just predicted this on radio, so I feel like I should know this. I forgot what I was gonna say, but right now I'll go 27 to 27 17 Eagles in Minnesota where they won the bowl at US Bank. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. It's your boy, Philly Talk with PA. I'm out, man.